I woke to the sound of something slamming against my apartment door. The clock read 6 in the morning. Through the peephole, I saw my mother Patricia screaming while my father Gerald and my older brother Dylan stood behind her with a crowbar. My mother's voice echoed through the hallway. "Break down the door. This is our son's apartment." Yesterday's humiliation still burned in my chest. They had announced to everyone that I was a failure living off their generosity. I grabbed the apartment lease from my desk drawer and walked to the door. When I opened it, what they saw in my hands made them scream in horror. The crowbar hit the floor with a metallic clang. My mother went pale. My father took a step backward. Dylan's mouth hung open like a caught fish. I held up the lease agreement, my name printed clearly at the top. Knox Brennan, sole tenant, no co-signers, no additional occupants authorized. "This is my apartment," I said quietly. "Not yours. Mine." My mother found her voice first. She always did. "Knox, baby, we can talk about this. Put that away and let us inside." We brought breakfast. I stayed in the doorway. Neighbors were peering out from their apartments now. Mrs. Chen from 307 had her phone out, probably recording. "Good. You tried to break down my door," I said. "At 6 in the morning. With a crowbar." My father cleared his throat. He was wearing his business casual outfit, the one he thought made him look important. "Son, your mother was just worried. We couldn't reach you last night. We thought something happened. I changed the locks," I said, "at midnight, after I told you to leave yesterday. Let me back up. 3 months ago, my parents asked if they could visit for a weekend. Just a weekend, they said. My father's business was going through a rough patch, and they needed a change of scenery. I said yes because that's what you do for family. That's what I thought you did anyway. They never left. First it was just a few more days, then a week. Then my mother started rearranging my furniture because it flows better this way. My father criticized everything from my career choice as a graphic designer to the brand of coffee I bought. And Dylan, my 32-year-old brother who hadn't held a job in 2 years, moved into my home office with his gaming setup and his dirty laundry. I paid for everything. Groceries, utilities, internet, streaming services. They treated my apartment like a hotel where they didn't have to tip. My mother threw out my furniture and replaced it with hers. My father used my car without asking and returned it on empty. Dylan ate my food at 2 in the morning and left the dishes in the sink. But I stayed quiet. I stayed polite. I told myself it was temporary. Then came yesterday. I had planned a small dinner party. Just me, my girlfriend Emma, and her parents. I was going to propose to Emma after dinner. I had the ring in my pocket. I had rehearsed the speech. Everything was perfect. My family showed up uninvited. Emma's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Palmer, were sophisticated people. Mr. Palmer taught economics at Yale. Mrs. Palmer ran a nonprofit for literacy programs. They were polite, educated, and exactly the kind of in-laws I'd hoped to impress. My mother took one look at Emma and said, "Oh, honey, that dress makes you look bigger than you are. Knox, didn't you tell her to wear something slimming?" Emma's face went red. I tried to salvage it. "Mom, that's inappropriate." But my mother wasn't finished. She turned to Mr. and Mrs. Palmer with a sympathetic smile. "You should know what you're getting into with this family. Knox is a sweet boy, but he can barely take care of himself. We basically support him. This apartment, we co-signed. The furniture, ours. Even his car payment, we help with that." Every word was a lie. My father jumped in. "The boy's trying, but graphic design isn't exactly a stable career. We keep telling him to get a real job, but he's stubborn." Dylan laughed, slouching in my chair. "Knox is still figuring out how to be a real man. Give him another decade." I watched Emma's face fall. I watched her parents exchange glances. I watched the evening I'd planned for months crumble into ash. Mr. Palmer cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should reschedule. This seems like a family matter." They left before the appetizers were served. Emma followed them out. She didn't look at me. The ring stayed in my pocket. After they left, I stood in my kitchen surrounded by my family. My mother was eating the shrimp cocktail I'd spent an hour preparing. My father was pouring himself whiskey from the bottle I'd been saving. Dylan was on his phone, completely uninterested. Something inside me snapped. "Get out," I said. My mother looked up. "What?" "Get out of my apartment. Right now. All of you." My father set down his glass. "Knox, you're being dramatic." "I'm being dramatic?" My voice rose. "You just destroyed the most important evening of my life. You lied to Emma's parents. You've been living here for 3 months without paying a single bill. You've taken over my home and treated me like a servant. Get out." My mother's expression hardened. "We're family. You can't kick out family. Watch me." I pulled out my phone and opened my email. I'd been prepared for this. I'd hoped I wouldn't need it, but I'd prepared anyway. I showed them the lease agreement. My name only. No co-signers. The apartment was mine alone, rented 2 years before they'd even visited. "You have until morning to leave," I said, "or I call the police and have you removed for trespassing." My father laughed. "You won't do that. Try me." They didn't believe me. They went to bed in my bedroom like nothing had happened. They thought I was bluffing. At midnight, I called an emergency locksmith. $200 to change the locks immediately. Worth every penny. I texted them at 5 in the morning. "The locks are changed. Your belongings are in the hallway. Leave now." Apparently, they didn't appreciate that. Now they stood in front of me with a crowbar, trying to force their way into an apartment that had never been theirs. But the lease wasn't the only thing I was holding. I turned my phone around. The screen showed the video I'd been recording since I heard them in the hallway. Clear footage of my mother shouting that this was our son's apartment, while Dylan held a crowbar, and my father encouraged him to just break the lock. "I already sent this to the family group chat," I said. Everyone saw it. Uncle Raymond, Aunt Marie, Grandma, all the cousins. Everyone. My mother's face went from pale to bright red. "You did what?" "I also sent it to Uncle Raymond directly. You remember Uncle Raymond? Retired police officer? He left me a voicemail 20 minutes ago." I pressed play on the voicemail. Uncle Raymond's voice was loud and furious. "Patricia, what the hell are you doing? That's breaking and entering. Get away from that door before I call this in officially. I don't care if you're my sister. This is illegal." My father was sweating now. He was a small business owner in our Connecticut town of Millbrook. His reputation was everything to him. "Knox, delete that video. Right now." "No." "Knox, please." My mother reached for my phone. I stepped back into my apartment. "You have 10 minutes to get in your car and leave this building. If you're still here when I call the police, I'm filing a formal complaint for attempted breaking and entering. Uncle Raymond's statement will back me up. So will Mrs. Chen's video." I nodded toward my neighbor, who waved her phone. Dylan dropped the crowbar. "This is insane. You're insane. 9 minutes." My father grabbed my mother's arm. "Patricia, let's go. Now." They retreated down the hallway. Dylan picked up the crowbar and followed. At the elevator, my mother turned back. "You'll regret this, Knox. Family doesn't forget." The elevator doors closed. I went back inside my apartment and locked the door. The new lock clicked smoothly. I sat on my couch, the one I'd bought with my own money, in my apartment that I'd rented with my own credit, surrounded by silence that belonged to me alone. I thought it was over. I thought I'd won. I had no idea the nightmare was just beginning. 2 days later, I walked into Carter and Associates feeling lighter than I had in months. Emma had called me the night before. We'd talked for 3 hours. I explained everything. She believed me. She apologized for leaving so abruptly. We were okay. My boss, Mr. Carter, had left me a message asking to see me first thing Monday morning. I assumed it was about the Henderson project, a major client presentation I'd been preparing for 3 months. The commission alone was $40,000. With that money, I could finally propose to Emma properly, take her somewhere special, buy her the ring she deserved. I knocked on Mr. Carter's office door at 8 in the morning sharp. "Come in, Knox." I opened the door and froze. My father sat in one of the leather chairs across from Mr. Carter's desk. He was wearing his best suit, the navy one he saved for important meetings. He turned to look at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Knox, sit down." Mr. Carter's voice was cold. My stomach dropped. I'd forgotten that my father knew Mr. Carter from the Millbrook Business Network, a monthly gathering of local business owners and professionals. They weren't close friends, but they knew each other well enough to shake hands at events. I sat in the chair farthest from my father. Mr. Carter folded his hands on his desk. "Your father came to see me this morning out of concern for you. He shared some troubling information." "What information?" My voice came out steady, but my heart was pounding. My father leaned forward, his face a mask of paternal worry. "Knox, I'm not here to embarrass you. I'm here because I care about you. We all do. But you've been struggling lately, and it's affecting your work." "I haven't been struggling. Son, denial is part of the problem." My father pulled out his phone and handed it to Mr. Carter. "These are text messages from Knox over the past month. I think you should see them." Mr. Carter took the phone and scrolled through. His expression darkened. He turned the screen toward me. The messages were supposedly from me, talking about drinking heavily after work, complaining about missing deadlines because I was too hungover to function, mentioning getting high to handle stress, talking about how I couldn't focus anymore, and how everything felt pointless. "I never sent those," I said immediately. "Those aren't real, Knox." My father's voice was gentle, practiced. "I understand you're defensive, but lying won't help. I also brought this." He handed Mr. Carter a folded piece of paper. Mr. Carter opened it and read, "This is a doctor's note suggesting you need immediate psychiatric evaluation." "From what doctor?" "I haven't seen a doctor." My father sighed. "From Dr. Holloway. I took you there 2 weeks ago. Don't you remember? You were having an episode." "That never happened." Mr. Carter held up his hand. "Knox, I need you to calm down. This behavior is exactly what your father is talking about. I'm not being erratic. I'm being set up." I pulled out my own phone. "Look at my actual messages. Look at my phone records. Those screenshots are fake." Mr. Carter glanced at my phone but didn't take it. "Knox, your father also mentioned the incident with your family. Breaking and entering," he said, "refusing to let them into their own apartment." "It's not their apartment. It's mine." I pulled out my wallet and showed him my lease agreement, the same one I'd shown my family. "I'm the only name on this lease. They tried to break in with a crowbar. I have video evidence." My father shook his head sadly. "This is what I'm talking about, Richard. He's become paranoid, aggressive toward family. We tried to check on him after he stopped answering our calls, and he called the police on us. His own parents." "That's not what happened. Knox, I think you need to take some time off." Mr. Carter stood up. "I'm placing you on immediate unpaid leave, pending medical evaluation. You'll need to see a company-approved psychiatrist and get full clearance before you can return." "You can't do this." "I can, and I am. This company can't afford liability issues. If you're struggling with substance abuse and mental health problems, you need help. We'll hold your position for you, but you cannot work here until you're cleared." "What about the Henderson project?" Mr. Carter hesitated. "I'm giving that to Brian. He'll take over the presentation next week. $40,000. 3 months of work. Gone." "Mr. Carter, please. Just look at the evidence. My father is lying." "That's enough, Knox." Mr. Carter's voice was final. "Clean out your desk. Security will escort you out." I looked at my father. He met my eyes with a small, cold smile. In the parking lot, I caught up to him before he reached his car. "Why are you doing this?" My father turned. The concerned expression was gone, replaced with something calculating. "You embarrassed us, Knox. You sent that video to the whole family. You made us look like criminals. Did you think there wouldn't be consequences? So you're destroying my career? I'm teaching you a lesson about respect. Come home. Apologize to your mother. Let us move back in. Stop this nonsense, and maybe I'll fix this mess." "Never." He shrugged. "Then enjoy unemployment. By the way, you should check your mailbox when you get home." He drove away. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, trying to calm down. I called Emma. She didn't answer. I called again. Voicemail. I drove home. There was an envelope taped to my apartment door. Eviction notice. 3 months back, rent owed. $15,000. Pay within 14 days or face legal eviction proceedings. Impossible. I'd paid every month. I had receipts. I had bank statements. I called the building management office. A woman named Sandra answered. "Hi, this is Knox Brennan in apartment 412. I just received an eviction notice, but there's been a mistake. I've paid rent every month. Let me check your account." I heard typing. "Mr. Brennan, our records show the last rent payment we received from you was 3 months ago. Since then, nothing." "That's not possible. I've written checks every month." "If you wrote checks, they never reached us." I hung up and checked my bank account. The rent checks had been cashed, every single one, but the building management never received them. I thought about the 3 months my family lived with me, how my mother always got the mail, how she'd hand me everything except the rent confirmation receipts, how I'd assumed the landlord just stopped sending them. She'd taken them. She'd intercepted the rent checks, forged endorsements somehow, and cashed them. $15,000. I called Sandra back. "I need to speak to the landlord immediately. I have proof I paid. You can bring your bank statements to the office." But Mr. Kowalski doesn't accept excuses. "If the rent isn't here, it isn't paid. You have 14 days. I couldn't pay $15,000. Not without my job. Not without the Henderson commission." My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Knox. It's Dr. Mercer's office calling to schedule your psychiatric evaluation." At least that was moving forward. "When's the soonest appointment?" "We have an opening 3 weeks from today." 3 weeks? I need something sooner. My job depends on this. "I'm sorry, that's the earliest Dr. Mercer has available." 3 weeks. The eviction deadline was 14 days. Even if I got cleared by the psychiatrist, I'd already be evicted by then. Emma called me back an hour later. Her voice was strained. "Knox, my mom talked to some people from church today. They're saying things about you, about problems you've been having." "What kind of problems?" "Drinking, drugs, losing your job." "Knox, is any of that true?" "No. Emma, my family is spreading lies. They're trying to destroy my reputation." "I believe you." But her voice held doubt. "Small, but there. I just need you to understand that my family is hearing things. They're worried. I'll fix this." "I know you will. I love you. I love you too." But when we hung up, I sat in my empty apartment and wondered how I was supposed to fix any of this. I had no job. I had an eviction notice. I had a psychiatric evaluation 3 weeks away. I had a family spreading rumors through my entire community. And somewhere, my parents and brother were laughing. I spent the rest of my savings on a consultation with an attorney. Lisa Hartman came highly recommended. Her office was downtown, small but professional. I brought everything. The lease, the break-in video, copies of the fake text messages my father showed Mr. Send, Carter, bank statements showing the cashed rent checks, the building manager's statement about the missing payments. Lisa reviewed it all carefully. She was in her 40s, sharp-eyed, with gray streaks in her dark hair. "You have a case," she said finally. "Harassment, slander, fraud. What your mother did with those rent checks is textbook identity theft and forgery." Relief flooded through me. "So we can sue them?" "We can. But I need to be honest about costs. My retainer for a case like this is $25,000. That covers initial filing and the first phase of litigation. If it goes to trial, you're looking at $50,000 to $75,000 total." My relief evaporated. "I have $8,000. I'm sorry, Knox. I can't take the case without the retainer." Lisa closed the folder. "My advice? File a police report first. It's free, and it creates official documentation. If the police pursue charges, you might not need a civil case at all." I went straight to the Millbrook Police Department. The building was old brick, the kind that had been there since the 50s. Inside, the air smelled like burnt coffee and old paper. The officer at the desk directed me to Detective Marcus Webb. Officer Webb was in his 30s, built like someone who still played college football on weekends. "What can I help you with?" I explained everything. The attempted break-in, the forged rent checks, the workplace sabotage, the manufactured psychiatric crisis. Officer Webb typed notes as I talked. "Do you have evidence?" I showed him the break-in video, the bank statements, the eviction notice. Officer Webb watched the video twice. This is pretty clear evidence of attempted breaking and entering. And if your mother cashed checks made out to someone else, that's fraud." He typed something into his computer. Then his expression changed. "Mr. Brennan, do you know about the outstanding warrant?" My blood went cold. "What warrant?" Officer Webb turned his screen toward me. "There's a warrant for your arrest, issued 3 weeks ago. Theft in the amount of $15,000. The complainant is Patricia Brennan." The room tilted. "My mother filed charges against me. According to this report, you borrowed $15,000 from her in cash and refused to pay it back. She filed a complaint, and the magistrate issued a warrant. That never happened. I never borrowed money from her. Sir, I need you to stay calm." I am calm. This is another setup. She stole $15,000 from me by cashing my rent checks, and now she's claiming I stole it from her. Officer Webb stood up. "Mr. Brennan, I have no choice here. There's an active warrant. I have to take you in." "You can't be serious." "I'm very serious. Please stand up and put your hands behind your back." I was arrested in the police station where I'd come to file a complaint. They fingerprinted me. They took my photo. They put me in a holding cell with 2 other men, one who smelled like he hadn't showered in a week. I got one phone call. I called Emma. "Knox, what's wrong?" "I've been arrested. Bail is set at $50,000. Silence on the other end. Then, "For what?" "My mother filed a false theft report." "Emma, I need help. Can you call Lisa Hartman, the attorney I saw today? Tell her what happened." "Knox, I don't have $50,000. I know. Just please call the attorney. Please." "I will. I promise. Just hold on." The holding cell was freezing. I sat on the metal bench and tried to understand how my life had fallen apart so completely in less than a week. The man next to me, older guy with a gray beard, had been listening. "Family trouble? How did you know?" "I heard you on the phone. Let me give you some advice. Family legal warfare is the worst kind, because it's not just about the law, it's about who people believe. And people always believe the parents over the kid. That's encouraging." He laughed without humor. "Bail bondsman will want 10% down plus collateral. You got $10,000? No. Then you're stuck here until your arraignment. Could be 2 days. Could be a week, depending on the court schedule." 8 hours later, Emma came. She'd brought $12,000, her entire savings. But bail was $50,000. The bondsman needed $10,000 cash or equivalent collateral. My car was worth $9,000 at best. I was $500 short. I spent the night in jail. The next evening, Dylan came to visit. He was grinning like Christmas morning. "Hey, little brother. Comfortable? What do you want?" "I'm here with a message from Mom and Dad. All of this goes away if you cooperate. Sign over power of attorney to Dad. Give us keys to your apartment. We'll move back in. You drop all the accusations, and we'll drop the theft charge. Mom will clear things up with your boss. You can have your life back." "I'd rather rot in here." Dylan shrugged. "Your choice. Just so you know, you've got 48 hours before the eviction becomes final. After that, you lose the apartment anyway. Oh, and Emma's parents are pressuring her to break up with you. Something about not wanting their daughter mixed up with a criminal who can't even pay rent. Tick-tock, Knox." He left. I sat on the cell bench with my head in my hands. Everything was closing in. The eviction, the job, the psychiatric evaluation I couldn't attend from jail. Emma's family turning against me. The old man with the gray beard spoke again. "You said your name was Knox?" "Yeah, Knox Brennan." "How do you know that?" "Because I know someone who handles cases like yours. Family exploitation, financial abuse. Name's Teresa Ming. She's a paralegal, works pro bono for people trapped by their families. You should call her. I can't call anyone from in here. When you get out, call her. Trust me." He wrote a number on a piece of paper and handed it to me. The next morning, Emma posted my bail. She'd borrowed the rest of the money from her parents by promising them I was innocent. When I walked out of the jail into the sunlight, Emma hugged me tight. "I believe you," she whispered, but I could hear the strain in her voice. The building manager had changed my locks. Mr. Kowalski, a heavy-set man with no sympathy in his eyes, explained the building policy. Arrest plus outstanding rent equals immediate lockout. My belongings were inside, but I couldn't access them until I paid $18,000, $15,000 in back rent, plus $3,000 in late fees and legal costs. I stayed at Emma's apartment. She lived in a small one-bedroom in a converted Victorian house. She gave me her bed and slept on the couch. I felt like a burden, a failure, a man who couldn't even maintain his own home. Emma's phone buzzed constantly. Her mother calling, her father calling, text messages I couldn't read but could feel the weight of. The first thing I did was call Teresa Ming, the paralegal the old man mentioned. We met at a coffee shop called The Grind, all exposed brick and reclaimed wood. Teresa was younger than I expected, maybe 30, with black-framed glasses and a no-nonsense expression. She listened to my entire story without interrupting. "This is a pattern," she said when I finished. "Financial abuse and legal weaponization. I've seen it before. Families who want control will use every system available to get it. Police, courts, employers, community reputation. They're trying to make you so desperate that submission looks like the only option. Can you help me? I can try. But I need access to everything. Bank records, phone records, emails, text messages, anything that might show the coordination between your family members. If we can prove they planned this systematically, we can fight back." I gave her permission to access everything. She said it would take a few days to build a case. That night, Emma asked me to sit with her on the couch. "Knox, I need to tell you something." Her eyes were red. "My parents are threatening to cut me off if I don't leave you." The words hit me like a fist. "What? They pay my tuition. They pay my rent. I'm in graduate school, Knox. Without them, I'd have to drop out. I'd have student loans I could never repay. My whole future would be gone. Emma, I love you. I love you too." Tears streamed down her face. "But I'm asking you to understand the position I'm in. They're saying, if I stay with you, they'll stop supporting me effective immediately. I've worked so hard for this degree. I'm so close to finishing. I understand." The words tasted like ashes. "I don't blame you. I need some time to figure this out. Please don't hate me. I could never hate you." But we both knew what time meant. Time meant distance. Time meant doubt. Time meant the end. My phone rang. Uncle Raymond, my mother's brother, the retired cop who'd yelled at them in the voicemail. "Knox, I've been doing some digging. You need to hear this." "I'm listening." "Your mother, father, and brother planned this whole thing. Dylan's been practicing your handwriting for weeks. That's how they made those fake text screenshots look real. Patricia took those rent checks and cashed them at a check cashing place on Route 9 using a fake ID. I found the place. And your father has been spreading rumors about you for over a month, laying groundwork. Why would they do this? Because your father's business is failing, Knox. He's not just struggling. He's broke, bankrupt. He owes money to suppliers, to investors, to the bank. He needs somewhere to live rent-free, and he figured your apartment was the easiest target. Patricia and Dylan are codependent. They can't survive without his income, which doesn't exist anymore. They plan to take over your life because they've ruined their own." I closed my eyes. "How bad is it?" "Gerald owes over $200,000. He's been embezzling from his own business partners to keep up appearances. When that comes out, he's facing criminal charges. They wanted your apartment as a safe house before everything collapses. Uncle Raymond, what do I do?" "Fight, Knox. Fight with everything you have. Teresa Ming is good. Let her work. And watch your back. Patricia isn't done yet." He was right. The next afternoon, Teresa called me. Her voice was tight with controlled anger. "Your mother filed for emergency conservatorship over you this morning." "What does that mean?" "It means she's asking a judge to declare you mentally incompetent and grant her legal guardianship over your finances and medical decisions. If she wins, she controls your bank account, your lease, everything. You become a legal dependent." "Based on what?" "Based on the arrest, the job loss, the eviction, and statements from concerned community members. She's arguing you're a danger to yourself." "When's the hearing?" 5 days from now. 5 days to prove I was sane, competent, and not a criminal. 5 days to save my entire life. That evening, Emma's father called. I could hear him yelling through the phone. Emma was crying. When she hung up, she looked at me with devastated eyes. He said if I don't end this relationship by tomorrow, he's cutting me off. No tuition, no rent, nothing. Emma, I can't ask you to give up your future for me. I know. She was sobbing now. I know you can't. But I feel like I'm abandoning you when you need me most. You're not abandoning me. You're protecting your future. I understand. I really do. She cried herself to sleep that night. In the morning, she told me she needed time apart. She drove me to Uncle Raymond's house and hugged me goodbye. I watched her drive away and felt the last piece of my life crumble. That night, Teresa called with the only good news I'd had in days. I found the check cashing store. They have security footage. If we can get that footage, it's proof your mother committed fraud. How do we get it? We need a police officer to request it. The store won't release it to civilians. Officer Webb arrested me. He's not going to help. Then we convince him. Because without that footage, the conservatorship hearing is a coin flip. With it, we win everything. I had 5 days to get Officer Marcus Webb, the man who'd arrested me, to help me prove my family had framed me. It felt impossible. I walked into the Millbrook Police Department at 8 in the morning, terrified I'd be arrested again for some new false charge. Officer Webb was at his desk, typing a report. Mr. Brennan, what can I do for you? Teresa stood beside me. She'd insisted on coming. Officer Webb, my name is Teresa Ming. I'm a paralegal working with Knox Brennan. We have new evidence regarding the theft charge filed by Patricia Brennan. Officer Webb leaned back in his chair. I'm listening. Teresa presented everything. The timeline, Uncle Raymond's statement, Brian's confession about the workplace conspiracy, the break-in video, my bank statements showing rent paid every month, the building manager's statement about checks that never arrived. Officer Webb reviewed each document carefully. His expression didn't change. This is compelling, he said finally, but it's circumstantial. You're asking me to believe that a mother would systematically destroy her son's life. Yes, I said. That's exactly what I'm asking you to believe. Why? Because she wants control. Because my father's broke and they need my apartment. Because they can't accept that I set boundaries. Officer Webb was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled up something on his computer. There's a check cashing store on Route 9. You're saying Patricia Brennan cashed your rent checks there? 3 times over 3 months. $15,000 total. If I request the security footage, and it shows what you're claiming, this changes everything. The theft charge against you disappears. Patricia gets charged with fraud and identity theft. Will you request it? Officer Webb looked at me. Really looked at me. I'll request it. But it takes 3 days to process the request through official channels. Your conservatorship hearing is in 5 days? Yes, it's going to be close. He made the request while we watched. Official police letterhead. Urgent request for security footage for dates matching the cashed checks. Thank you, I said. Don't thank me yet. If that footage doesn't show what you claim, you're in worse trouble than before. Teresa and I left the station. We had 3 days to wait. 3 days until the footage arrived. 2 days after that, the conservatorship hearing. I spent those days at Uncle Raymond's house, sleeping on his couch, trying not to think about Emma. She texted me once. I'm sorry. I hope you're okay. I didn't respond. What was there to say? On the 4th day, my phone rang. Brian, my former colleague at Carter and Associates. Knox, I need to talk to you. I don't want to hear it, Brian. Please, just 5 minutes. We met at a park. Brian looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, unshaven. I helped your father sabotage you, he said without preamble. 2 months ago, Gerald got me drunk at a company networking event. He asked questions about you, about your projects, about your schedule. I thought he was just being a concerned dad. I told him everything, about the Henderson project, about your client meetings, about when you'd be in the office. I didn't know he'd use it to destroy you. You gave him the ammunition. I know, and I can't live with it. I'll write a statement. I'll testify. Whatever you need. I'll confess to Mr. Carter. I'll fix this. Teresa, who'd come with me, recorded his confession on her phone. Brian signed a written statement, admitting to the workplace conspiracy. With 2 days until the hearing, we had Uncle Raymond's statement, Brian's confession, the break-in video, my bank records, the building manager's statement, and pending security footage. It felt like enough, but my family wasn't finished. The next day, a process server handed me legal documents, a restraining order. My mother had filed an emergency protective order claiming I'd been harassing and threatening the family. The temporary order was granted automatically. I was legally prohibited from contacting my parents or brother, from coming within 500 feet of them, from posting about them online. Teresa read the order and swore. This is strategy. At the hearing, she'll use this restraining order as evidence that you're unstable and aggressive. Can she do that? She just did. And the restraining order hearing is scheduled for the same day as the conservatorship hearing. Same judge, same courtroom. That evening, Dylan showed up at Uncle Raymond's house. He stood in the driveway, yelling, "Knox, come out here, you coward. Face me like a man." Uncle Raymond stepped outside. "Dylan, you need to leave. This doesn't concern you, old man. Knox, you ruined our family. You destroyed Mom. She's sick because of you." I watched from the window. Dylan was filming himself, recording his performance. He'd posted on social media, frame himself as the concerned brother dealing with an unstable sibling. I stayed inside. Engaging would violate the restraining order. Dylan yelled for 15 minutes before driving away. Within an hour, the video was on Facebook. Dylan's caption read, "My brother Knox is going through something serious. Our family is terrified. If you see him, please contact me. He needs help." The comments section filled with concerned messages from people I'd known my entire life. High school friends, church members, distant relatives, all believing Dylan's narrative, all thinking I was the problem. My phone buzzed with messages. "Knox, are you okay? Praying for you. Your family loves you. Please accept their help." My social media became a nightmare. I deleted the apps. That same day, I got a call from Mr. Carter's office. The mandatory psychiatric evaluation was scheduled for the next morning. If I missed it, my termination became permanent. The evaluation was across town. The appointment was at 9 in the morning. I had no car. Public transportation would take 2 hours each way. Uncle Raymond was testifying in a trial and couldn't drive me. I pawned my laptop for $300 at a shop downtown. The laptop I'd used for every design project for 3 years. I took a rideshare across town. Dr. Helen Mercer's office was in a medical complex, all beige walls and generic art. I sat in the waiting room, exhausted, broke, and desperate. The evaluation took 3 hours. Dr. Mercer asked about my childhood, my relationships, my work, my family, my mental health history, my substance use. I told her everything. The break-in, the workplace sabotage, the false arrest, the conservatorship hearing, Emma leaving. Dr. Mercer took notes but said nothing. Her face was professionally neutral. "When will I get the results?" "I'll send my report to you and your employer within 48 hours. I left the office feeling drained. 48 hours. The conservatorship hearing was tomorrow. In the parking lot, a young woman stopped me. She was the receptionist from Dr. Mercer's office. "Mr. Brennan? I'm Amy. I wanted to tell you something. A woman called yesterday claiming to be your mother. She offered to pay for an expedited evaluation and gave us what she called helpful background about your mental health history. Dr. Mercer refused and reported the contact as inappropriate, but I thought you should know they tried. Thank you for telling me." Amy hesitated. "For what it's worth, I believe you. My family did something similar to me. I got out. You will too." She walked back inside. I took the rideshare back to Uncle Raymond's house. I had $27 left in my bank account. The conservatorship hearing was in less than 24 hours. The check cashing store footage still hadn't arrived. That evening, Officer Webb called. "The footage is delayed. Bureaucratic nonsense. It might not arrive until after your hearing. What do I do? Hope the judge believes your other evidence." "I'm sorry, Knox. I sat on Uncle Raymond's couch and stared at the ceiling. My mother had won. She'd systematically destroyed my job, my home, my relationship, my reputation, and my freedom. Tomorrow, she'd take my legal autonomy. Uncle Raymond sat beside me. You know what you need to do tomorrow? Los, fight. Even if you lose, you fight. You show that judge exactly what kind of person Patricia is. You don't give up. Ever. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I borrowed a suit from Uncle Raymond. It was too big, but it was all I had. Teresa met me at the courthouse at 8 in the morning. The footage still hasn't arrived, she said. We're going in with what we have. We walked into the courtroom together. My mother, father, and brother sat on the opposite side with their attorney, Mr. Westbrook. Patricia wore a conservative dress and fake concern. Gerald looked dignified in his best suit. Dylan sat behind them, playing the supportive son. The judge entered. Judge Margaret Sullivan, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and no patience for nonsense. Let's begin. Mr. Westbrook stood up, all polished confidence and practiced sympathy. He presented his case like a prosecutor going after a serial killer. Knox Brennan, troubled young man, substance abuse, mental instability, lost his job, arrested for theft, evicted, aggressive toward his loving family, who only wanted to help. He called Patricia to the stand first. She cried. Actually cried. Real tears streaming down her face as she talked about her son, the boy she raised, the man who'd spiraled so terribly out of control. I'm terrified for him, Your Honor. He's made these wild accusations about us trying to steal from him. He filed a police report against his own mother. He's posted videos online to humiliate us. We tried to check on him, and he threatened us. I don't know who he is anymore. Mr. Westbrook showed the restraining order. Mrs. Brennan has been forced to seek legal protection from her own son. Then he called his character witnesses. A church deacon who'd known the family for 20 years. Patricia Brennan is one of the finest women in our community. If she says her son needs help, I believe her. Gerald's business partner. Knox always seemed a bit unstable. I'm not surprised this happened. A family friend. Patricia and Gerald are devoted parents. They're heartbroken over this. Judge Sullivan listened without expression. Then it was Teresa's turn. She started with the break-in video. The courtroom watched my mother scream about breaking down the door. My brother hold up a crowbar. My father encouraged them. This is not the behavior of concerned parents, Teresa said. This is attempted breaking and entering. She presented my lease. My name only. Sole tenant. She presented Brian's written confession and played his recorded statement about the workplace conspiracy. She presented Uncle Raymond's statement about the family's coordinated attack, about Gerald's bankruptcy, about their motive. She presented my bank statements showing $15,000 in rent payments made on time, every time. She presented the building manager's statement, confirming the checks were cashed but never received. Mr. Westbrook objected. Your Honor, where is the proof that Mrs. Brennan cashed those checks? This is speculation. Judge Sullivan looked at Teresa. Miss Ming, do you have direct evidence? It's being processed by the police department, Your Honor. Security footage from the check cashing location. When will it arrive? We don't know, Your Honor. Judge Sullivan frowned. Without that footage, you have circumstantial evidence of a family dispute. I see angry family members, poor communication, and a young man who's clearly struggling. I don't see systematic fraud. My heart sank. Teresa kept fighting. She presented the fake text messages my father showed Mr. Carter, pointing out metadata inconsistencies. She presented my clean credit history, my employment record before the sabotage, my psychiatric evaluation appointment confirmation. But I could see Judge Sullivan's doubt. Without the smoking gun, it was my word against my family's. And my family looked like concerned parents, while I looked like a desperate son. Mr. Westbrook stood for his closing argument. He painted a picture of a young man in crisis, a family trying desperately to save him, and a mother who deserved the court's trust to manage her son's affairs until he recovered. Grant Mrs. Brennan conservatorship, he said. Let her help her son before he destroys himself completely. Teresa stood for her closing. Your Honor, Knox Brennan is not mentally incompetent. He's a victim of financial abuse and legal weaponization by his own family. If you grant this conservatorship, you're giving his abusers complete control over his life. Please don't do that. Judge Sullivan looked at both sides. I'll take a 15-minute recess to review the evidence. She left the courtroom. I sat next to Teresa, feeling defeat settle in my bones. Across the aisle, my mother smiled at me. Small, triumphant. 10 minutes to go, Teresa whispered. Don't give up yet. Uncle Raymond sat behind me, his hand on my shoulder. Time crawled. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. The courtroom doors burst open. Officer Marcus Webb rushed in, holding a tablet. His uniform was wrinkled like he'd been up all night. Your Honor, I apologize for the interruption, but I have urgent evidence in this case. Judge Sullivan had just returned to her bench. She looked annoyed. Officer Webb, this better be important. It is, Your Honor. The security footage from the check-cashing store just arrived. I drove straight here from the station. My mother went pale. Judge Sullivan, who steered him forward. Approach. Officer Webb handed her the tablet. Judge Sullivan watched the screen. Her expression changed from annoyance to shock to cold anger. Everyone needs to see this. She connected the tablet to the courtroom's display screen. The footage played. Crystal clear. High definition. Patricia Brennan, walking into a check-cashing store on Route 9. Holding a check made out to Riverside Property Management, my landlord's company. The check was for $5,000. My signature on the bottom. The clerk asked for ID. Patricia showed something. The camera zoomed in automatically. A driver's license with Patricia's photo but a different name. Jennifer Martinez. Fake ID. Patricia endorsed the check using the fake name. The clerk handed her cash. $5,000. The video jumped to a second date. Same store. Same process. Another $5,000 check. Third date. Third check. Another $5,000. $15,000 total. 3 separate occasions. 3 fake endorsements. 3 counts of fraud captured on camera. The courtroom was silent. Judge Sullivan turned off the display. She looked at my mother with an expression of pure disgust. Mrs. Brennan, stand up. Patricia stood slowly. Her face was gray. Did you cash those checks? Your Honor, I can explain. Did you cash checks made out to your son's landlord using a fake identity? Mr. Westbrook tried to intervene. Your Honor, my client needs time to consult with counsel before answering. Your client is about to be arrested. Officer Webb, take her into custody. Officer Webb walked to my mother. Patricia Brennan, you're under arrest for check fraud, identity theft, and filing a false police report. He handcuffed her right there in the courtroom. She was screaming. Knox, you're doing this to your own mother. How could you? We raised you. We gave you everything. Judge Sullivan's voice cut through the noise. That's enough, Mrs. Brennan. Officer Webb, remove her from my courtroom. Officer Webb led my mother out. She was sobbing, yelling, making a scene. Judge Sullivan turned to Officer Webb before he left. What else did you find? Text message fabrication software on Dylan Brennan's computer. Phone records showing Gerald Brennan contacted Knox's employer the day before Knox was placed on leave. Evidence of a coordinated conspiracy to commit fraud and defamation. Judge Sullivan looked at my father and brother. Mr. Gerald Brennan and Mr. Dylan Brennan, you're both ordered to remain available for questioning by the police department. If you leave the jurisdiction, you'll be arrested. She turned back to me. Mr. Knox Brennan, the conservatorship petition is denied. The restraining order against you is dissolved. I'm issuing a protective order prohibiting Patricia, Gerald, and Dylan Brennan from contacting you or coming within 1,000 feet of you. This case is being referred to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. She banged her gavel. We're adjourned. The courtroom erupted. Family members who'd come to support my mother were talking over each other. Uncle Raymond was hugging me. Teresa was shaking Officer Webb's hand. My father sat frozen, staring straight ahead. Dylan was already at the door, trying to leave. Officer Webb called out, Mr. Brennan, don't go far. We'll need to speak with you today. Dylan stopped. He looked back at me with pure hatred before walking out. Mr. Westbrook approached Teresa. I'm withdrawing as counsel for the Brennan family. Conflict of interest. But I thought you should know that Gerald Brennan is facing additional charges. He embezzled money from his business partners. The investors are pressing charges. Gerald, Patricia, and Dylan are looking at significant prison time. Good, Teresa said simply. Outside the courthouse, I stood in the sunlight. Officer Webb walked over. I'm sorry I arrested you, he said. I should have looked deeper from the start. You made it right. The theft charge against you is being dropped today. You'll have a clean record, and I'll be recommending that the district attorney pursue maximum charges against your family. Uncle Raymond drove me back to his house. We didn't talk much. I was too stunned, too exhausted, too relieved, and broken, and grateful, all at once. That evening my phone rang. Mr. Carter. Knox, I owe you an apology. A huge apology. I should never have believed your father without verifying his claims. Your job is waiting for you. You're reinstated as of today with full back pay for your suspension. And the Henderson Project Commission? $40,000. It's yours. Brian admitted he used your work. You earned that money. Thank you, Mr. Carter. I'm also promoting you to senior designer with a salary increase. You've earned it. My landlord called an hour later. The eviction was reversed. I could move back immediately. 3 months of free rent as compensation for the trouble. Dr. Mercer's office emailed my psychiatric evaluation. Clean. No mental health concerns. Competent, stable, and fully capable of managing my own life. Community members who testified against me started calling, apologizing, saying they only heard one side, saying they should have trusted me. I didn't answer most of the calls. Emma called. Knox, I heard what happened. I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. I should have stood by you. You made a choice, Emma. I understand it, but I can't forget it. Can we at least talk? Not now. Maybe not ever. I need time. I understand. I'm so sorry. She hung up. I sat in Uncle Raymond's living room and felt the weight of everything lift. My family was facing prison. My job was restored. My apartment was mine again. My reputation was being rebuilt. I'd won, but I felt hollow. Tired. Changed. Uncle Raymond sat beside me. You did it, kid. I don't feel like I did anything. I feel like I survived. That's exactly what you did. And sometimes, survival is the victory. 3 months after the hearing, I stood in my apartment surrounded by new furniture. My old belongings had been ruined in storage, but the restitution money from my family covered replacements. Everything was fresh, clean, mine. The legal cases resolved faster than I expected. Patricia pleaded guilty to check fraud and identity theft. 18 months in prison. Gerald pleaded guilty to embezzlement and fraud. 4 years in federal prison. Dylan took a plea deal as an accomplice. 2 years probation and 500 hours of community service. Judge Sullivan ordered full restitution. $18,000 for the stolen rent. $20,000 in damages for lost wages and emotional distress. $38,000 total, paid from the liquidation of my father's failed business. The extended family split. Uncle Raymond formally disowned his sister. Most relatives sided with me once the truth came out. A few still thought I'd overreacted by pressing charges. I blocked their numbers and never looked back. Emma tried to reconcile for 2 months. Letters, flowers, showing up at my apartment. She was genuinely sorry, genuinely remorseful. But every time I looked at her, I remembered her leaving when I needed her most. I remembered choosing her degree over me. Intellectually, I understood her decision. Emotionally, I couldn't forgive it. We met for coffee one last time. Emma cried. She said she'd regret leaving me for the rest of her life. I told her I hoped she'd have a great career and a happy life, but we couldn't be together. She accepted it with grace. I started dating someone new 6 weeks after the hearing. Amy, the receptionist from Dr. Mercer's office who'd warned me about my mother's interference. She'd reached out to check on me after everything went public. We started as friends. Coffee once a week, then twice, then dinner. Amy understood what I'd been through, because she'd survived her own family trauma. Her parents had used her as a financial resource for years, draining her savings and guilting her into supporting them. She'd finally cut them off and rebuilt her life. We bonded over shared experiences and mutual respect. Our relationship developed slowly. No rushing, no pressure. Just two people who understood the value of trust and boundaries. My career flourished. Mr. Carter made me a junior partner at the firm. I got equity in the company. My designs started winning industry awards. The story of what my family did spread through the design community, generating sympathy and respect for how I'd handled it. I received job offers from 3 major firms, but stayed at Carter and Associates. Loyalty mattered to me now. 2 weeks before Patricia's scheduled release from prison, I received a letter. She'd found religion behind bars, she wrote. She was sorry for everything. She wanted to reconcile. Could I visit her when she got out? Could we be a family again? Gerald sent a similar letter. God had shown him the error of his ways. He loved me. He wanted another chance, Dylan texted. Mom and Dad made mistakes, but you should be the bigger person and forgive them. That's what family does. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I contacted Teresa. We filed for a permanent restraining order. Judge Sullivan granted it without hesitation. Patricia, Gerald, and Dylan were prohibited from contacting me or coming within 1,000 feet of me. Forever. Uncle Raymond and I had dinner at his house the night the permanent order was finalized. We sat on his porch drinking coffee, watching the sun set over Millbrook. You know what the difference is between you and them? Uncle Raymond asked. What? You knew when to walk away. They thought family meant ownership. You understood family means respect. That's why you won. I thought about that for a long time. I'd spent years confusing obligation with love. I'd thought family was supposed to demand pieces of you, supposed to make you smaller, to make themselves feel bigger. I'd accepted criticism as caring and control as concern. My parents taught me that love was conditional. It came with debts and strings and expectations. It required me to sacrifice my identity to maintain their comfort. But real love doesn't weaponize your vulnerabilities. Real family doesn't sabotage your success. Real relationships don't require you to diminish yourself. Walking away from toxic people, even blood relatives, isn't abandonment. It's self-preservation. It's choosing sanity over sentiment. It's recognizing that some relationships poison you slowly until you can't remember who you were before the poison started. I also recognized my own role. For years, I'd enabled the dysfunction. I'd stayed silent when they criticized me. I'd accepted their intrusions without protest. I'd prioritized their comfort over my needs. I'd been conditioned since childhood to believe my worth was measured by my usefulness to them. Breaking that conditioning required therapy. Dr. Mercer became my regular therapist. We worked through childhood trauma, learned to recognize manipulation tactics, developed healthier boundaries. I discovered that my anxiety and self-doubt weren't personality traits. They were symptoms of prolonged emotional abuse. I learned to say no without guilt. I learned to protect my peace without apologizing. I learned that setting boundaries wasn't cruel. It was necessary. 1 year after the hearing, I proposed to Amy, not at a fancy restaurant or a romantic getaway. At the park where Emma had broken up with me. I wanted to reclaim that space. Rewrite that memory. Amy said yes. We planned a small wedding with our chosen family. Uncle Raymond, Teresa, a few close friends from work, some cousins who'd stood by me. No one from my immediate family received an invitation. The morning of the wedding, I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my tie. I thought about the terrified man I'd been a year ago, sleeping in his car outside a courthouse, facing losing everything, wondering if survival was even possible. I thought about opening my apartment door with that lease in my hand, choosing to stop being a victim and start being a survivor. The greatest victory wasn't the courtroom ruling. It wasn't the restitution check. It wasn't even seeing my family face consequences. The greatest victory was becoming someone who understood his own worth, someone who could identify manipulation and walk away, someone who knew the difference between family and people who share your blood. I learned that you can survive betrayal by the people who were supposed to love you most. You can rebuild from nothing, You can choose who deserves space in your life. Some families are born. Some families are built. The built ones, the chosen ones, formed through mutual respect and earned trust. Those are the ones that last. Those are the ones worth fighting for. As I walked toward Amy at the altar, surrounded by people who genuinely loved me, I understood the final truth. Real family shows up when things fall apart. Real family respects your boundaries. Real family celebrates your success instead of sabotaging it. I'd spent 28 years with people who called themselves family but acted like jailers. Now I had a family I'd chosen. People who saw my worth and celebrated it. People who understood that love means support, not control. I was free, truly free, and that freedom was worth every moment of the fight. The officiant began the ceremony. Amy smiled at me, her hand in mine. Uncle Raymond sat in the front row, crying happy tears. Teresa was the maid of honor, proud and beaming. This was my family now. Not perfect, but real. Built on trust instead of obligation, on respect instead of guilt, on love that asked nothing except to be returned honestly. I'd survived the fire. I'd walked through betrayal and came out stronger. I'd learned the hardest lesson anyone can learn, that sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones who were supposed to protect you. And sometimes the greatest act of love is walking away. As Amy and I exchanged vows, I felt peace. Real peace. The kind that comes from knowing you're exactly where you belong, with people who see you clearly and love you anyway. That's what family should be. That's what I'd found. And I'd never let anyone take it away again. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who refused to respect you? Have you faced a situation where walking away was the only way to protect yourself? How did you find the strength to choose yourself over obligation? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's struggling with the same choice. And if this story resonated with you, if it reminded you that survival is possible and that you deserve respect even from family, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about overcoming betrayal and finding strength in impossible situations. Share this with someone who needs to hear that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that you're stronger than you think, that toxic relationships aren't worth preserving just because they're with family, and that the life you build for yourself is more valuable than the one others try to force on you. Stay strong, protect your peace, and remember that real family is the one you choose, not the one you're born into.